never there for me. When I was struggling, you was never there, homie. My friends in the past never really cared for me. I felt so cold, all alone, doing things on my own. And this was every day, worked all night, so mom wouldn't pay. Crazy bills on the mind made a tough day feel even worse. I had nobody to make the feelings reverse. This life I'm living is Circe, and I was the first son in college, working part-time to get my car fixed. It put dents in my pockets. Know what I'm trying to say is, I depended on dudes for mad shit, but they didn't come through for half of it. So the fact is, we all actors in this movie of life.
Welcome to another episode of The Struggling Artist.
Thanks, Adam.
Number 3, I'm here with Bruce Thomas.
Yay. I don't need the applause.
Because we're doing this in my office.
Oh, yes.
We're doing this. This is
quite intimate.
Yeah. My office.
Good
Dude, look at this list. Look at this list. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Bruce Thomas.
Isn't that cool?
That's pretty badass.
That is cool. I first saw that on Wikipedia when Christian Bale took over.
Yeah.
There's George Clooney, my name, and Christian Bale. I thought, that's kind of cool. And I happen to be acquaintances with George. I hung out with him a few times. And so we always joke that, there's now, everybody's safe. There's 2 Batman in the room.
Yeah. You've been acting for...
Let's see, I started in 83. That's over 30 years. I joined the union in 86, so that's a little over 30 years.
And did you start here in LA or start in New York?
New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually started my first film. I just did extra work in a film in North Carolina when I was in school. Was always a creative guy, but I was kind of lost in the whole school thing. Wasn't very successful at grades.
Right.
And so I was looking for something else. And so then Dino De Laurentiis opened the studio in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I just kind of went down and stood in line to be an extra. And they pulled me out of line, actually, and they said, listen, you're the perfect size, height, weight to play the stand-in for David Keith, who's our big star of this film called Firestarter with Drew Barrymore.
Right.
And I said, okay, what does it pay? Because, extra work was $15 a day.
That's what it
It
was?
was $15 a day. Again, we were in North Carolina, out of state, so non-union, all that stuff. $15 a day, and I was bartending at the time. So they said, well, stand-ins pay $40. I said, done.
Yeah, sign me up.
Don't have to bartend anymore.
Right.
On that film, I got to know Drew's mother.
Okay.
And Drew as well. So we became very close after that, and they encouraged me to go to New York if I was going to follow this.
Right.
I got to rehearse a scene with George C. Scott. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's...
A novice, totally green, not knowing what the hell I'm doing. I'm standing here, I'm laying in a bed, much like this one. George C. Scott needed somebody to rehearse with while they shot, while they set up the camera. Here I am, looking right into his eyes and going, whoa. And so I did. I went to New York, and she hooked me up with Anna Strasberg, who was married to Lee Strasberg. Now, Lee had just died in 1983. So I packed up my bags, having never been in New York, and I just got off the plane, and I called Anna Strasberg and went over there, and she took me under her wing.
And they were teaching you, Lee Strasberg is the method, or
it is a method. Yeah, that's the method.
So, and she was teaching you.
Well, she not personally, but she ran the school.
Right.
And so she got me into the school, and so I signed up for classes and started taking classes there. It was so cool, though. I got to tell you real quickly. It was a Sunday afternoon. I would go over to her house because I was brand new there. Only person I knew. I would go over. A couple of students would hang out. And Lee had just died, I remember, like months before. Al Pacino would come over and sit in the library and go through Lee's records and listen to some of the music that Lee had in his library. And then he saw that there were a couple students here, so Pacino got up in front of us in the living room and started doing characters for us. It was insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're in New York, you're just starting out. Did you get an agent pretty quickly? What was the process like? Or were you committed to learning the craft?
No, just learning. I was not ready to do anything, really.
Yeah.
Really didn't do any plays or even anything in college. I always wrote poetry. I always took pictures with cameras like all these.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm, so that was all foreign to my family. They were watching me do all these creative things, learn to play guitar myself, and singing, playing songs, writing, and just doing all things, trying to find an expressive way, a creative way to express myself. And I couldn't. It was always a search for me. Anyway, I found this, and so then to answer your question, I just committed myself to studying.
Right.
Strasbourg ultimately wasn't the place for me. 6 months in, I realized that the kind of things that they were asking us to do was a little bit too painful and personal in a way, and so
I ended up asking you to like take out your teeth.
Well, yeah, it's like going through your childhood, rifling through all the horrible memories of your real life, and trying to bring those to the surface and delve into that pain.
Yeah.
It was a little too much for me to handle at the time, so I started learning about the Sanford Meisner approach, which uses more of your, well, what if this was happening? What if? More of using your imagination as opposed to directly using your real life.
Right.
Now, ultimately, they both end up dredging up the same impulses and emotions and memory and history that you have, and it comes to the surface. But it just goes about it in a different way. It was more conducive to the way I worked, I guess.
Yeah.
Or was learning to work.
And so you studied for, how long did you study for Meisner? And
Meisner was a 2-year program with Bill Esper. Yeah.
With who?
Bill Esper.
Bill Esper, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And your first big break came, or what would you say your first big, or did it take a while, or like your first job,
Yeah, my first job was in soaps. In One Life to Live, I think, was my very first one. And it was called an under 5, where you do literally under 5 lines.
Right.
It was terrifying for me. Soap work is terrifying anyway, because it's so quick and it's so disciplined.
You get the script that morning?
You can get the script the night before, but there are always changes. They always rewrite, and you have to be very flexible and willing to go with it.
Yeah.
So I was pretty terrified. It was probably really bad.
And then
I had to see it now.
And then you were like, fuck New York, I'm going to move to Los Angeles?
Well, I did a bunch of I got into a theater group, and I did a whole bunch of theater where you could do stage managing, you could do directing, you could do set building and design and lighting design, and you could do the whole thing. And we did all of it ourselves, along with acting. And that was a huge eye-opening thing, too.
What year did you decide to move to Los Angeles?
1990. I got married. And
did you meet your wife in New York?
My wife in New York City, yes. And I'm still married to her. She's my best half.
Is she in the entertainment industry anyway?
Nope. She did some print work for a while. Beautiful woman. She did print work actually later in life with my children.
Yeah.
As it turns out, they did a bunch of work together. But, well, I mean, really a godsend for me.
Yeah.
She's been so supportive. Yeah. Allows me to do this silly thing. And
you hear, all this stuff on like TMZ and all these breakups and how hard it is to maintain a relationship as an actor.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I'm not saying mine's without ups and downs, of course, but she's stuck with me and believes in what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's nice, man. I want to find one of those.
Yeah. Get yourself one of those.
Yeah. Where is there somewhere I can go?
It's called Craigslist.
Yeah, or Tinder.
Tinder. Oh, God. Can't imagine.
You're so lucky you don't have to
I can't imagine being single, honestly.
It's in Los Angeles, it's awful. It's not fun. But, whatever. That'll happen. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it. Yeah. So you're 1990.
Get some more young actresses in here, in this little space.
What do you think I'm doing this show for, Bruce?
I know. Make this quick.
1990, you guys fly out. Did you have any kids at that point, or
No, just got married. So I thought, okay, it's time to get serious. And in New York, I was doing theater, and I did a couple of commercials. Yeah. Started making a little bit of money. Like I said, did a couple of soaps, just small stuff, no contract roles. But I thought, okay, LA's where the money is. So I've done 8 years in New York City.
Right.
Studying. I should know enough by now to get started, so I did. And then once I got out here, that was even harder. It took another 4 years to. I was getting movies, little movies that were paying like $75 a day. Now, like 25 years later, that's not far off what I'm getting again.
Right.
With all these little movies, but yeah, so I would get little movies and without even having an agent. It was that's the most hardest thing. It probably still is.
Yeah, I mean, are you and right now we have Actors Access, like casting, and these resources.
Yeah,
what was it?
That. It was just backstage.
Backstage.
Newspaper, yeah, physically because there was no internet.
Right.
So it was just buying a newspaper and then calling people up and submitting your pictures.
And what do you think was the most effective way to secure work? Was it relationship building?
Having a pager.
Having a pager.
Yes.
Just being available.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, just keeping a pager on your belt and like I said, mailing off all of your headshots to all of these various things. You can't fire off emails, so you're just constantly mailing things.
Do you still do that?
No.
You don't.
No.
You don't. I mean, you
do
don't
what?
Like so, are you still mailing out your headshot? Like because they encourage.
No.
It's so much. It's encouraged. I went to a workshop last week at the SAG Foundation, and he was like, "If you guys aren't sending postcards out, you're not doing something right." And I was like, "Man, like, okay, I get it." Me personally, yeah. I mean, like, I guess that's an effective tool, but I'm just wondering, like, for someone like you, your resume is you're on Weeds. You played Batman. You were a series regular on Kyle XY.
Legally Blonde is the most recognizable thing.
Is that? And do people stop you for like?
Still,
yeah.
Yeah. Hall Pass, Fairly Brothers.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to think that a lot of people know, or at least are aware of me.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true because the constant turnover in executives and casting people, and now there's guys like you that are. I mean, you're very well. You have a lot of knowledge because you keep up with it because you love it, and
right?
So you know who people are, but
right.
But I think a lot of nepotism that goes on throws in these young people, and they're not even aware of people like me. Like who?
Yeah.
What film? Legally what?
Yeah. Or I mean, it's just cool to me. I mean, like I love the 6 degrees of separation. Like when we met at a table read just last week. Reading a script, and I was just like, "You worked with who?" And that's exciting to me. Like it is exciting to me, and like I want to pick your brain. I want to know what you did, and how it all works. It's really.
And I was the same way when I was your age, and I still am. I still love hearing stories and talking to people and meeting actors that I admire and just dig their work. It's just so fascinating to me.
It really is, Are you so you've been doing this for 30 plus years now?
30 plus years.
And then at what point was voiceover work, because your voice is awesome?
Thanks.
Was that something that developed over time, or you realized, hey, there's an opportunity, here's another avenue for me to make some money?
Yeah, it came out of necessity, really. No, I take that back a little bit. I always knew when I was a child. I remember being like 8 or 9 years old. My dad had a reel-to-reel tape machine.
Yeah.
An old school tape machine, and with a microphone. And I used to pretend I was interviewing people like you are right now. I used to pretend that at 9 years old. So I thought I didn't know what that meant. But later in life, and there was a time where I was toying with going into journalism.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on TV and interviewing people and being a journalist, like uncovering news and shit.
Yeah.
But then it never happened. Like I followed what I followed. And then the kind of economic downturn happened. And we lost Kyle XY. That was canceled.
Yeah.
That was kind of devastating.
Was that after 3 seasons?
3 seasons.
Yeah.
And it was kind of out of the blue. So and because of the economic downturn, a couple of years went by and there was nothing, and then I had to go back and do a regular job, and my wife got a job, and it was kind of painful. But then I happened to meet, I was standing in a bar and happened to meet a voice director, Jamie Mortellaro, who does a lot of big video games. And he...
Well, so sorry to cut you off. The voice of Master Chief.
Well, I'm not the voice of Master Chief.
Okay.
I do all the motion capture for that character.
You are Master Chief.
I am physically Master Chief. I do everything you see him do is what I've done, or some stunt people have done because he does some crazy flying and shit too. So, but yeah, all the scenes, all the cinematic stuff that you see, it was me.
Yeah, that's
from
awesome.
Halo 4 on, Halo 4 and 5, and we're gearing up for another one.
You're going to be Master Chief again for 6?
Damn strike gets over with anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I see that SAG right now is they're not supportive.
Yeah.
I get all the emails. SAG's like, come pick it with us.
Yeah, it's not very.
So you don't.
It just sucks. There's a couple projects right now that I should be working on. I have
you
on
can't.
the shelf at the moment. Yeah.
Is it because they want to pay non-union? They want to get away with paying the non-union rates?
No, it's not that. They're just. Well, first of all, we're seeking some sort of residual structure so that when a game does make $1 billion like Halo does,
right?
Like Gears of War, Call of Duty, all those big, huge, successful ones, we just are asking for just a tiny bump. That's really all we're asking for. Is just
not just a flat buyout.
Not even a percentage. I don't. The way I understand it is we're just asking for another session fee, basically, on top of it when a certain threshold crosses into and they're making a certain amount of money, and they're hesitating on that, and it's tough because we don't have much leverage really, because they're saying to us,
we like the way it is.
Well, they're saying to us, we can use any voice we want to. We don't seriously need you. We like having all your union talent, but we don't really need you. And we're going, really?
Yeah.
There's some fans out there that would kind of differ with you.
Right.
Anyway, so I don't want to get into too much of the
sure, but
pulls and tugs, but it's
I mean
it's just a pain in the ass at the moment.
Yeah, and so you mentioned there was a period of time where you weren't getting any work, and I'm curious, during that time you had your regular job, but you're still an actor during that time. How are you feeding your artists during that period?
That was a tough one. That was the era we're speaking about, just after College Y, during that whole thing. I mean, we, to be honest with you, we lost our house.
Wow.
And I had 2 kids in school, and one in elementary school, one in middle school, and they face all of that. And at the same time, actually, the day our house went into foreclosure, I flew to Atlanta to go do a comedy called Hall Pass with the Farrelly Brothers.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's do some comedy.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
It was a little tough.
That's Hall Pass is Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson, Jason Sudeikis, and I got to work with Jenna Fisher from The Office.
Yeah.
And Christina Applegate, they're both incredibly wonderful.
Christine, myself and Christina, we have the same. We studied under the same. Acting coach, Cameron Thor.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so she came up in discussion a lot in class.
Oh.
And he obviously nothing but nice things to say about her.
Yeah. How do I feed the artist? That particular time was really tough. I got a lot of scar tissue out of that. A couple years. So there wasn't a lot of feeding.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pain. But in general, I don't work as much as I want to.
Right.
And so I fill the time with, like I said, I was a musician. I am a musician. So I play guitar, and I do that almost every day. That helps out. But to be honest with you, I do 4, 5, or 6 voiceover auditions every day. So I'm constantly getting new material, new characters, new dialects, and all this stuff that I can work on, which is a whole different craft. And so I feel like I'm very fortunate that way. I get to constantly feed it and get new material to work on every single day. So
you were saying it's different. I mean, I'm interested in hearing like how is it different being.
How's voiceover different from on-camera acting?
Yeah.
Well, I took one voiceover class, and one of the very first things the instructor said to us was that when you're behind a microphone, you will be the most naked. There's the train. It's the most naked you'll ever be as a performer, because it picks up every single bit of discomfort
in your voice
that you may have. And so the craft is primarily relaxation, even more so than on camera. I think on camera, I think people can get away with just a look or just a physicality because you're seeing everything. You can kind of choose to fake things if you want to.
Right, you learn tricks over
we all
the
know,
year. Yeah,
right, there are
learn
tricks.
Yeah.
But we all know that we don't want that. We want authenticity every moment that we're on camera. But there are ways to get around that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're behind the microphone, that's all you have is what you're hearing. And so that relaxation is the primary part of it. And then you just have to really trust your imagination to live in that world fully on the microphone.
Because you're painting you don't
have the picture with your voice.
You're painting the picture with your voice. And you're in the booth, you're working it. Are you because a lot of acting is, physical body language. You can tell a story because it's a visual medium. Are you still being physical in the booth? Can
Totally.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've taught a couple of workshops or been involved in being a guest at workshops where I'll tell students that. It's like some of them stand there, either cross their arms while they're doing it or have their hands in their pockets out of discomfort.
Right.
Because they feel self-conscious.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell them. Start moving. Just move. Wear materials that you can't hear when you start rustling. You don't want to hear anything, but but express yourself with your hands. Do that. Just look, scream, yell. Use your physicality to help loosen up those impulses inside.
I had the opportunity to work with Keith David, who does a lot of voiceover work. He's got,
oh my God.
I mean, yeah, that's so cool. You can do that. Like you're aside from him, when I met you, like that was it automatically distinguishes you, your voice, and that's a button you can hit now.
Yeah, you do. You learn to, like a lot of stuff I do, like even on camera, I did when I played Batman on the OnStar commercials.
Yeah.
That's when I learned that, first of all, Batman has a little tiny range. Like all of his emotions happen within this little tiny box of parameters.
Right.
Like he doesn't get way up here and start talking like that. No, it's all within like his range goes from here to here.
Yeah.
And he has to express everything within that little box.
Yeah. We're gonna show a clip to everybody of that OnStar spot right now.
OnStar.
This is Batman. I need the door unlocked.
I'll do it right away.
If you get locked out, an OnStar advisor can unlock your doors by remote. Even the most self-sufficient driver needs a little help.
Freaking OnStar commercial Batman, it's badass.
I wore the Keaton suit. That was the Michael Keaton suit.
Yeah.
With the little yellow insignia.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Did they actually have you jump from the roof on that?
No. My stunt coordinator, Alex Daniels, did that. And he's super apt to give him credit because he showed me how to swirl the cape properly, how to be macho Batman, how to be the correct Batman physically.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, and going back to the Master Chief, you are the motion capture for Master Chief. Right. How does the craft apply to motion capture?
I do the whole performance. I do the voice, everything. And
you're just walking around. It's all green screen. You got these.
No, there's no green screen. It's on. It's the first one, Halo 4. We did on the set. Jim Cameron's studio where they did Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big white room, and there's scaffolding set up all over or surrounding it, and there's something like 200 cameras all set up.
Wow.
And the cameras aren't like these that pick up image. They pick up computer data. Now, when you're wearing the suit with all the balls on them, each one of those balls records data. It's the most fascinating thing to me because they have big TV screens on all four sides of the studio. So
Yeah.
And when I walk onto the stage, you can see Master Chief, the animated Master Chief. That's what you see walking around, talking, moving.
Oh, that's what's being displayed on the screen. Yeah.
In live action, Master Chief is moving. It's so cool. I can make him do whatever dance. It's like silly. That's what we do the first time we get on stage. But technologically, it's just super fascinating. And so each one of those little balls, at one point, it was kind of cool. They have them here and here and here, and one on this little hat you wear. And they said, do you want to see what it looks like from Master Chief's perspective? And I said, cool. And so they just pushed a button, and suddenly on the big TV screen, you can see what it was that I was looking at wherever I looked.
Turn your head, yeah.
And I said, well, how are you doing that? Because I'm not wearing a camera.
Right.
I said, no, it's just each one of these balls, they can push a button and the data becomes a visual image. I'm like, oh, come on. That's crazy.
That's
Who
so
thought
badass,
of that?
Man, that's so cool. That's so cool. Is there anybody that you've been doing it for so long? Like, when you were starting out, were there certain actors that you admired that, like, I'm a big fan of stealing stuff from people. I mean, obviously you can't. It's not like karaoke. You can't go up there and imitate a singer. It's a little bit different. You're uniquely who you are as a person. But there's certain things you see. Like Al Pacino gets really big with something, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use that. Like I'll throw that out there.
Yeah.
Because big looks different. I'm not Al Pacino. Big's gonna look different on me. It's gonna look different on you.
Yeah.
Were there any actors when you were coming up?
Absolutely. John Malkovich was a huge inspiration for all of us that were studying together.
Yeah.
Obviously, De Niro, Pacino, all those guys. Sean Penn was a big one for me.
Love Sean Penn.
And still. Yeah. And still. I got to meet him a few times, and he's just intense in person, but really fun, too.
Yeah. He looks like somebody I would want to have a beer with.
Yeah. Chris Walken. I mean, I chose all these people, even though I have the look that I have. I always chose.
It's almost like character actors.
Character actors to
yeah.
emulate, because
you're so leading man.
Yeah.
The square jaw.
Right, and I'm told constantly by everybody, you will never be a character actor, even when you're 75, because you have this structure that just says that you're not that. You're never going to be the store clerk in a movie,
Right. Yeah.
There's a certain presence, certain look, certain feel that that you have that is not necessarily character driven. But that said, much like Bradley Cooper, I think Bradley Cooper is a huge inspiration to me now, because look at him. He's gorgeous. Yeah. He's beautiful.
Yep.
And he did Elephant Man on Broadway.
Yeah.
And when you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, he's the little raccoon thing.
Right.
And it's such a great, rich character that he's created.
It's funny.
He's a character actor.
In the first one, man, it's just that where he's breaking down in that, you feel that.
Oh,
you're like right there with him.
Yeah.
And it's this raccoon.
Yeah.
You admired a lot of character actors coming up. Was it hard for you to swallow the pill, or kind of like, at what point did you realize
I'm not that?
Yeah, like the industry's not going to see me that way. People don't see me that way. Was that hard for you to swallow? Or was it you were like, no, you know what? It's cool. This is leading man. Like, I'm a fucking character actor.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to complain when you have.
When you're chiseled and austere.
well, I have no control over it. I was born that way, so it's hard to complain about that.
Damn my good looks.
Damn it. No, but I couldn't wait to get older.
Right now, because now you have story.
Yeah, now you can see story in my physicality. So, in fact, I was talking to Terrence Stamp. There's a name drop. How's that? I was talking to Terrence Stamp at one point, and we were at a house with a photographer who had just taken some black and white photos of him, and she was showing me them. And he's sitting over there on the couch, and I said, and they were so cool. And I said, Terrence, these are amazing. And he says, it's age, Bruce. It's just age. So I was looking forward to that time where I could be Clint Eastwood, or I could be whatever, older.
Yeah.
And that my face could tell a story by itself.
Right.
And so that maybe somebody could buy me that way.
Yeah.
And it's working, since I turned 50. I have recently done some really cool villains. Like there's a film that I did called Raise, where it's a genre film. It's a horror movie, kind of. It's more of a female action film actually, but it's got a lot of brutality in it. And I play this heavy, this nasty drill sergeant kind of guy who kidnaps women, holds them underground in prison cells, and forces them to fight to the death, whether they want to or not. And if they lose, they die, or I kill one of their family members. To make them fight brutally and viciously like men. These women fight like men.
That's fun to play the villain.
So I had the shaved head, I had the military look, and it was just being nasty for the sake of being nasty. There's nothing complex about the guy. He was one note, just fucking vicious.
Yeah.
And wow, that was a breath of fresh air to be able to express something like that. It was really fun.
And over the years, has your process changed? I mean, are you still applying, or is it now you've created your own thing? Like you're like, I studied method, I've studied Meisner.
No, I still do. I still use Meisner.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself to actually do the work, because you can get complacent about it. You can start to not walk through performances at all, but you can start to take for granted maybe a step or two of the work that you're supposed to be doing and sort of skip over it. Mm-hmm. It's a thing to remind yourself to do the work. Do it. It'll always pay off. You'll always feel better about it. You'll always be more grounded, more specific.
Right.
And that's super important.
We started this show, and it was, right now I'm getting a lot of, well, you're not relevant, you don't have enough followers, you don't have, it's like you lose roles to guys that are a draw, and they have a built-in audience, and they're not necessarily setting up the craft. So I mean, it's kind of, honestly, I genuinely love these conversations. Do you give a shit about social media?
I have to.
You do.
I hear the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially in the video game world where I do voices and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm being told you got to get your followers up, you got to get your social media presence up, because they're going to skip over you.
Yeah.
If you don't bring enough eyeballs to the project. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Or certain producers are like, it's like a thing, must have 1.5 million followers.
Oh, good Lord.
I have a friend.
I throw in the towel. I don't know how to do that.
Dude, I'm trying to figure it out myself. I mean, and I'm just like, well, let me just do the things I like to do anyway. Which
I'm on Twitter, I do that, but I don't know how to talk about myself that much.
Yeah.
It's a little bit uncomfortable and unnerving for me to do that.
Right.
I was never raised that way, to be
Right.
self-promoting.
Right. Why do you do this? Well, why, 30 years, why are you still doing it?
Why do I do this?
Yeah, why?
Why do I subject myself to this?
Yeah.
There's artists are either born, the best artists are born ultra sensitive people, like sensitive to the world around us, right? I think the best ones are. And I think on top of that, then we train ourselves to be even more sensitive, more sensitized to take in all the pain around us, all the joy, all the passion. We expose our soul to all of that and take it all in. And for me, that's made love deeper. That's made pain deeper. It's made life experience more rich for me. Just having that as a mission. I've learned to embrace that. A to Z. All of it. The goods, the bads, the in-betweens. On top of it, you get to work with fascinating people fascinating people that love what they do, for the most part. You do meet some stinkers every once in a while. But so I think, I don't know, it's so me now.
Yeah.
It's become, I've just become that guy that just looks for rich experiences, life experiences. I don't know. It's just part of it.
What advice would you give to someone that's just beginning a career?
Put down your cell phone. Put down your cell phone. This is about interacting with human beings. It's about interacting with the world. Absorb as much of life as you possibly can. Goods and bads. Embrace the bads. Like I said, I mean, it's that's what we have to do because, yes, we choose to do this, but the majority of the people in the world, it's too much for them to deal with all the stuff that we're asking of ourselves to absorb and to express. And so when they turn on a movie or a TV series, or even a commercial sometimes, you can cry at a commercial. There I go. Oh, that's another piece of advice. Let yourself cry at a commercial if it comes on and if it affects you. Don't be macho. Don't just. I mean, I cry at commercials. My kids look at me and they laugh every time there's a funny, emotional moment or a poignant moment. They'll look at old dad here, and my dad's always crying, even on a commercial. Yeah. Put down your cell phone. Get out there. Connect with everything you possibly can. Embrace that.
Yeah, I mean that's thank you. I mean that's kind of my next question. You answered it. Is like, how do you embrace the struggle? But you every day you just absorb yourself. Or is there anything that you want to? Are you excited that you can talk about that you're working on, or what's next? I mean, like
there's so much stuff nowadays where you sign NDAs and you can't talk about anything. There's a few things like that, but I'm off to do a movie in a couple of weeks. I'm going up to Big Bear. It's a romantic comedy. It's not a hugely challenging role, but it's going to be with people that I've worked with before, and it should be really fun.
Yeah.
Always interested. I can't wait to meet the new people that I'm going to work with.
Yeah. Where can we follow you on social media?
On Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. On Twitter, Real Bruce Thomas. REEL Bruce Thomas. So clever. And I could use some more followers. So.
Cool. Yeah. Follow Bruce. Well, Bruce, man, like, I'm so thankful you came today. Like, I really am.
It was fun.
I'm really appreciative of you taking the time.
And you did a great job with the table read. And I thank you for that.
Thanks, man. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was inspiring.
It was a good character for you, and it's a good character, period.
Thanks, man.
Like, wish we could talk about it.
I know. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
But, I mean, continued success. I respect you. I admire you. I look up to you.
Thank you.
You know, and I appreciate you sharing what you shared today.
That means a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
So, thanks for coming on The Struggling Artist.
I gotta stay paid, so my fam is good. I'm in the streets with my man is hood. I could change if I can, I could, but ain't too many options coming where I'm from. Ain't no millionaires for the slum dogs, so we gotta run hard. Little kids stealing lunch cards, grow up fast, get a gun charged. What they used to get money when they rob me. I'm on my job and I struggle hard, but a lot of others do too. See, these streets take a while to